Hello everyone. Welcome to my final presentation for CPT 310 Database Systems and Management. My name is Berg, and today I'll be presenting on creating a database with MySQL and phpMyAdmin. To get started, in this class we are tasked to design a database that would be used for an online food ordering management system. As you can see in my diagram here, I created a database with the entities of login, employee, orders, salary, department, item, address, customer, and table employee audit. In this class, we were taught how to normalize a database design, which means that each table within this database diagram contains information on a single subject, that no database is duplicated in another table unless it is critical to design. All the attributes that are primary keys must be dependent on other primary keys, and each entry has no insertion, update, or deletion anomalies. So you can see here, employee has department, employee has salary, login has an employee, or employee has a login. Originally, some of these entities were combined, like employee and department, and through the process of normalization, they were broken apart and created into single entities that were designed for a singular purpose. So in order to implement this database design, we were tasked to use MySQL and phpMyAdmin in order to implement the design. As a prerequisite, we needed to kind of install these workspace environments. So I chose to install mine using XAMPP. And XAMPP can be found at apachefriends.org/download. And you can select a downloadable version that fits your work environment. And once XAMPP is installed, it's pretty easy to get going. All you need to do is launch the XAMPP control panel and start the Apache server, and then start MySQL. Once it's green, good to go, then in order to get access to phpMyAdmin, you go to localhost-phpMyAdmin. And there we go. You can see on the left-hand side previous database schemas that I created in the past. And then on the right-hand side, you can see a lot of the different tabs, databases, SQL, export, import, some of the big ones. So in order to create our database, simply what we can do is use the import tab and choose a file. I've written this SQL query called createdb.sql. We select it and hit go. Returns the expected results. Import has successfully executed 14 queries. So then just a peek behind the hood here. This are the 14 queries that were successfully executed. Ones that create all the entities that were shown in that diagram earlier of address, department, item, salary, orders, customer, employee, login, and employee audit, which also has two triggers, which when an employee value is removed from the table, it triggers that it records that an employee was deleted from the database, and when a new one is added, it also shows that it records that a new employee added is in this employee added audit table. So now you can see when my script ran, we got my new database CPT 310 with all the tables as expected. However, there's no data in here. It's just the attributes. So in order to then populate this with data, I wrote a second script called populate data. And you can see here it's inserting values into department, salary, employee, customer, address, item, and orders. So we can go back to the import tab, choose this file, populate data, and hit go. Up at the top here says import has successfully finished. 8 queries were executed, and we can kind of review these results like before. And perhaps something I forgot to mention on the import tab, see, when I click on it again, it says import into customer. Before I had to make sure that I was importing into CPT 310. Importing database data into database CPT 310. That way it knew where to insert those values. So if it was selected on something else, it wouldn't be going into the right place. Let's take a look at the table employee audit. You can see that when I added the 3 tables from that previous query, the note here says that new employee with ID 1 was added to employee table on this date. So great, that worked as expected. And if I need to go ahead and add more employees in the future, I can also use the SQL tab over here. So here's another query I wrote, and this is inserting employee with these attributes into the employee table. So I'm going to be inserting Anders, Berg, email address, the title, gender, and the IDs that will be associated with this record. So I'm going to go ahead and click go. And it returns kind of the same message that we saw before. Inserted one row into employee. Let's go look at employee. Yep, and there it is. Now let's say this employee no longer works for us. They can be removed from the table. Go to table employee audit. And employee ID was removed on this date. In order to create some of the relationships that were kind of highlighted in the diagram that I showed earlier, able to go through here and assign primary keys in certain tables. So item will create a primary key of item ID. Customer will create a primary key of C_ID. And in the order table, we also have a primary key order_ID. Employee table, we have primary key of employee ID, department ID, and salary ID, which we then use constraint foreign keys to reference the department ID and the salary ID of the salary table. That's kind of how we create relationships in this database that are kind of highlighted in this diagram shown earlier. So employee has salary, employee has department, order contains items, customer has address, etc. In conclusion, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.